Hailing from Singapore, today we have a brand new IEM from my local homeboys, Kotori Audio with the Zephyr. Kicking things off with an unboxing, the packaging on the Zephyr is beautifully done with a running motif of a hexagon on the front. The sleeve is largely grey in colour and designed in a way that is just pretty classy. The back of the sleeve details some of the components used in this IEM, including their titanium coated driver, which is paired with a nose balance armature tweeter. Removing the sleeve reveals a black box with the Kotori Audio Cuckoo logo on it. The packaging on the Zephyr is very well thought out. Opening the box, you will be drawn to the Kotori Audio logo that's laser etched into the metal hockey puck case. The case is located under a paper holder that keeps the rest of the components seated snugly in their foam compartment. Underneath that paper holder thingy, you'll see the earphones themselves, where the hexagon image from the sleeve will probably make more sense now. Also included is an ear tip case that features two different sets of ear tips in an assortment of sizes. Lastly, you'll find the hockey puck case with the Zephyr logo housing the cables inside it. Build quality. The build of the Zephyr is very interesting. I'm a big fan of the understated design language that the Zephyr uses. The hexagon on the faceplate serves as a focal point to the whole IEM, and the way it swirls, creating that flow on the faceplate is just very interesting compared to the $3 ladyboy glitter aesthetics that is quite prevalent now. This understated approach is certainly refreshing. The faceplate here is made from anodized aluminum in a lovely shade of grey. The chassis, on the other hand, is made from resin in a more common custom universal shape. The resin portion is clean, featuring only the name Kotori and an L or R designation for which side the IEM is. It also features a 2-pin termination. The chassis feels light, but in the hand it feels not hollow, not cheap like some other makes. At the heart of the Zephyr is a titanium-coated diaphragm dynamic driver that is paired with a nose balance armature acting as a tweeter for a full spectrum of sound. The Zephyr also uses a pressure-balanced acoustic chamber that allows for pressure equalization to occur. Kotori Audio also makes some cables. They actually started off making cables, and the cable provided here is the successor to their original carbon cable, featuring oxygen-free copper Litz conductors. I like how it looks, silvery conductors suspended in a jacket. Quite pretty overall. It comes terminated with a 3.5mm plug and a 2-pin connector. Comfort. As with most custom universal shape IEMs, I have no issues with the fit of the Zephyr. It sits very nicely in my ears. It is sized rather normally like its competition, not overly big or small, and should be a size that many would be familiar with. The nozzle is the same, average and not overly large. Sound. First things first, the Zephyr isn't a Hammond-tuned IEM, which makes it more exciting to listen to. I would say that it has more of a neutral sort of tuning, similar to that of the legendary Atmosic ER4, but rendered through a dynamic driver and a balance armature. As such, it has a wider and fuller tonal color compared to the ER4, which was rendered using a single balance armature. Neutral tuning, it's kind of like having food without seasoning, no salt, no pepper, or even Uncle Roger's favorite MSG. As such, it will showcase the music purely and as intended, as close as how the recording engineer intended, without any sort of coloration. What is impressive about the Zephyr is how cohesive and tight the overall sound is. It has a very even tonality, especially when it comes to male and female vocals. It makes it very easy for you to listen to music as a whole, with all different layers playing in tandem, rather than with the earphones that magnify only a particular part or layer. For this review, I used the Zephyr with my Luxury and Precision W4 as well as the Lotto Paul Gold Touch 2. Bass. Bass on the Zephyr is very even between sub-bass and mid-bass, maintaining a tight character. Bass is rendered through the dynamic driver, providing a focus tonality that is pretty even. The bass has a deep rumble that is fast, clean, and well controlled. This allows your bass guitars and double bass to sound very accurate. Timbre rendered here is true to life. One thing that I must add is that the dynamics here are a little restrained and won't give you a huge multitude of explosiveness, but because of this, it allows the other frequency ranges, especially the mid-range, to perform more consistently. Mid-range. The mid-range of the Zephyr is very even. Despite the slight peak you might see on the graph, this allows vocals to have more shape in the mix. The Zephyr is very organic when it comes to mid-range, as you are largely hearing the recording as intended without much coloration. When it comes to resolution, it is highly resolving, but not in an aggressively clear way. It delivers this in a more gentle and refined manner. Instruments follow the same character, greatly resolving but rendered in a refined way. Vocals are very even in timbre for both male and female singers. Treble extension is good. I found it to be moderately airy without any semblance of sibilance. It is largely smooth and fluid sounding. It gives a very good edge to the mid-range, allowing for high levels of clarity overall. This is quite a refined tuning. Next up, Soundstage. So to test Soundstage, I used this track called Letter by Yoshi Horikawa. The way the track is mastered plays a huge part in Soundstage perception. When it comes to width and height, the Zephyr does a great job with width, making music sound really expansive. Height is good, though not at the same level as width. Next up, depth and positioning. Depth is decent, but could benefit from a bit more dynamics. Positioning is excellent, especially when you hear the scribbling of letters in the track Letter as mentioned earlier, which comes from many directions. So next up, some comparisons. Firstly, versus the NF Acous NM20. Now the NM20 is probably the highest resolution IEM in the $100 to $200 segment, and it does have slightly higher resolution than the Zephyr. However, it comes at the cost of having a more aggressive upper mid-range, which might be too much for some. The Zephyr renders music more evenly without flavouring any frequency range. Next up, versus the Dunu Kima 2. Now, the Dunu Kima 2 offers an impressive V-shape tuning, which is more common. Resolution is similar. The Zephyr stands out with deeper, tighter bass and a rarer neutral signature. Now, time for some likes and dislikes. So, things that I like about the Zephyr. So, it has a neutral tuning that does not rely on excessive bass or treble. Again, it has really good technicalities with an organic natural sound. And also lastly, I really like the design. It is very classy and it's a bit understated. Next, some things that I do not like about the Zephyr. So in its stock configuration, the cable does not have an option for 4.4mm termination. And also dynamics is kind of slightly restrained. And next up, rating. So when it comes to packaging, the Zephyr has great accessories and a premium unboxing experience, especially in its price point. It's doing a good job. Bass, I give it a 7.5 out of 10. It is tight, fast, and evenly toned. Mid-range, a strong 8 out of 10. It has very high resolution. It sounds very natural and organic. Treble gets a 7.5. It is smooth with good extension. Resolution on the whole, it's pretty good. It gets a 7.5. It is very refined sounding. Soundstage gets a 7. It has excellent width and overall pretty good imaging. And lastly, for the overall enjoyment factor, it gets a solid A+. This is one IEM that I find myself going back to for days where I don't really want to actively listen to music all the time, where, you know, sometimes the IEM just grabs your attention, forcing you to listen to music. This is one that I can appreciate how it renders. It's a bit more smooth sounding, more even toned, and allows me to listen to music in my own way, however I feel like doing. And finally, in conclusion, the Zephyr features a rare neutral tuning and executes it beautifully. This organic sounding IEM treats music as it is rather than colouring it. Kotori did an amazing job incorporating excellent technicalities into this unique signature. Thanks for tuning into the Superchunk Super Audio Show. Drop a like if you are into it, and if you really want to make my day, hit the subscribe button. It is super appreciated. With that said, I hope to see you guys soon.